Ergonomic keyboards. Today we're going to be exploring whether or not a small change in the typing format can have a significant change in the typing experience. On the surface level, it doesn't seem like ergonomic keyboards change much about your typing. They switch the keys around, they might curve the keys, but does it actually impact whether or not you can get typing injuries, or does it impact how comfortable you feel about your typing? And is it worth spending the time to adjust to the new typing format on your keyboard, and do those benefits really pay off in the end? In this video, I'm going to be exploring all of these questions. A huge thanks to Expos for sending me a keyboard to review. Let's get into the video. So what do ergonomic keyboards change about the typing experience? The main difference is that when you're typing on a normal keyboard, your arms and wrists are parallel to each other, which they claim is not a natural position for your arms to be in. So what ergonomic keyboards do is change around the keyboard layout so that you're forced to slant your arms and wrists to type on the keyboard. Now I'm going to be honest with you, things like RSI or just muscle pain around my fingers and wrists has never been something that I've had to deal with. So specifically using an ergonomic keyboard myself, I haven't seen too much difference in the short term when I'm typing, like for example, a 15-second test or a 60-second test. However, when I've used this keyboard for longer assignments or typing out speeches that require me to type for longer than 30 minutes, then I do find that there's a small difference for myself.
So let's look at the keyboard a bit closer and talk about some of the things that Expo did right while manufacturing this keyboard, and some of the things that, in my opinion, they did wrong. Firstly, the keyboard has a nice weight to it. It does feel like any kind of mechanical keyboard that you're going to get in this range. And I can compare it to my durgod keyboard as well as my DOS keyboard, both in similar ranges and, weigh similar amounts to this keyboard. It is kind of like a 60% keyboard. I don't know, I'm not the biggest expert on what you would call this layout because it doesn't have a number pad, but it does include the arrow keys. So this would be pretty close to 60%, but I don't believe that the 60% would have this much space on the right. And again, it is an ergonomic keyboard, so it is going to have some inconsistencies when comparing it to usual keyboards. You can see the cord just plugs into here in the back, pretty durable cord, braided, so I don't think you're going to have issues with the cord breaking. I also think that they did a really good job with incorporating the logo into the keyboard. It looks nice, it looks really clean, and it doesn't overclutter the keyboard, whereas some other manufacturers can do while trying to make their logo stand out on the keyboard. I definitely think that it fits in with the look. And it is kind of cool. I don't know if this is part of the process, but splitting, the logo is splitting apart, which is what the keyboard aims to do, is split apart your hands while you're typing on it. Just something cool that I thought I'd point out. Now, some of the cons with the making of this keyboard. Firstly, the alt keys are way too big. I know with Windows users, the purpose is for you to, be able to tab between windows, but for me as a Mac user, they serve no purpose. And also I think for a Windows user, you just rather have a bigger spacebar, these are the space bars here, than have an alt key this big, because for surface area, it is larger than the spacebar and it serves less of a purpose. I also think no one's going to be using the delete key or the enter key in the middle here. I don't know what other functionality keys they would put there, but I don't think anyone's going to be adapting to them. People are going to stick to what they've already learned and what they already know. Another issue is how large the shift key is on this keyboard. Now, it doesn't say shift, it just has one of their logos on the keyboard, but I do think just having it the same size as a normal key is a problem, because it is a key that you're going to be hitting many times. You capitalize letters all the time when you're typing, so it just increases the probability of you missing this key. I would prefer for this key to be larger, and I'm fine with adding a bit of extra space and making the tab, caps, control, and semicolon and escape key all larger, just so that the shift key can be as large. I don't think it's completely out of their way to make that happen. I also think that the difference between the P key and the shift key, that distance, is too large, because you can definitely see, compared to the difference between the P key and the delete key on a normal keyboard, is a lot smaller than this difference. So when you are adapting to this keyboard from another mechanical keyboard, I definitely think that it is unnecessary, the distance between these keys, and it does just make the process of learning how to type on this keyboard longer than it needs to be. The only other problem I have with the formatting of this keyboard is the distance between these keys. You can see it's like my finger can fit in between these cracks. I definitely think I would rather have them, make you change your hand and have it more of a slant as opposed to spreading out these keys more. Again, opens up the margins for making more errors while you're typing. So to answer the questions at the start of my video, let's talk about the pros and cons of this keyboard and whether you should buy it and what you are ultimately going to be able to get out of this keyboard. So for the pros, I think this keyboard has a very solid build. The keycaps are built really nicely. I think the case is a decent size, decent weight. And, it looks cool with the RGB. I like the fact that, they incorporated the RGB because ultimately, I would describe this keyboard as the mixing of a extreme ergonomic keyboard and your normal mechanical keyboard. Not a mix between, a membrane keyboard and some kind of mechanical keyboard, or an extreme ergonomic keyboard and a membrane keyboard. This is a mix between a standard mechanical, $100 to $200 range keyboard and an ergonomic keyboard, and I really like that. It has a good price range. This keyboard that I was sent is $99 USD on the store, and you can get also other keyboards for $200, $250 USD. I think their price range is really solid for the kinds of keyboards that they market. Okay, so now to the cons. Firstly, I do think that with any ergonomic keyboards, you have to understand it's going to take time to adapt. No user is going to be able to pick up one of these and type like they did on a normal keyboard. And to an extent, I do think you are going to be slower no matter how hard you try to type on these ergonomic keyboards. If you type on this keyboard for 2 years, maybe you're going to get to similar speeds, but you just have to understand you are going to type slower than the keyboard that you previously typed on. And it's about weighing off whether typing slower and your hands hurting less is better than typing faster but your hands hurting more. And if you're someone who is looking for extreme speeds, I wouldn't recommend buying this ergonomic keyboard. But if you're someone who is having pain with RSI, or you just want a keyboard that looks cool and has some kind of benefit so that you can prevent RSI or prevent hand pain in the future, I definitely think that this keyboard is a great option. Now, on to more cons. I do think that there are some mistakes with the format of the keys. Like I talked about, it's going to be better for a Windows user than a Mac user. I did research the Alt key and, Alt U tab between, different screens. So it does have functionality on Windows. I think, the small shift key is going to be a problem. You just have to recognize that it was a design flaw, at least in my opinion. The bad spacing between the delete and the P key is again a design flaw. But if you use this keyboard enough, you're going to get used to that spacing. And I think there's also, too much space in between the keys, like I outlined previously in this video. So, ultimately, what are the target, demographic for this user? It's someone who wants a nice, $100 to $200 mechanical keyboard, somewhere in that range, and doesn't want to have to spend too long adjusting to this layout. And again, you don't have to be experiencing RSI, you just have to, want to prevent RSI in the future. And that's why I think this keyboard is a great option, because it does mix, an ergonomic keyboard and a normal mechanical keyboard very well, and it doesn't add on, $50 or $75 just because it's an ergonomic keyboard. It's really competitive with the price, and that's what I really like about this keyboard.
So without further ado, I'll let you listen to the keyboard sound test, and you can expect more videos from me with this keyboard in the future, possibly doing a 20 to 30 minute comparison between this keyboard and other mechanical keyboards that I have.